Class, I want to do one more quick screencast on conditionals. I just wanted to show you how they work with strings. As you read in the text, that conditions can be you can do comparisons on strings or on integers. Also, I wanted to show you a quick case statement, and we can the case statement I went ahead and did with strings as well. Although you could do the same with a number like we saw in the others. And so once again, I've got my input, but you'll notice here, this input here I initialized as a string, and just doing an empty string like that will kind of tell JavaScript I plan on using this as a string and get it set up for that. You'll notice here, I also, if you noticed in the other screencast, I had the parse int around this. I don't need the parse int anymore, because the input coming from this method is going to already be a string, so everything's gonna work out. And then once again, I've set up these two buttons. One button here is tied to this function, the other button is tied to this function, so nothing, basically that's the only function that will run when I hit the buttons. So we'll go ahead and start with the case statement. What you're going to see here is the first thing we do is get the value, and to do a case statement you start with a command called switch. And then inside here, you put the variable that you're going to be checking against. And all of the case statements here will be checked against this variable here. So first case, I'm looking basically saying, okay, if input equals Santa, do this. If input equals baby, do this. Or if input equals bunny, do this. And then if it doesn't input any of those things, there's a default inside of the case statement that then does the last thing. So let's go ahead and try it. Put in here and just type in, let's start with baby. And if I type case, you'll notice that if it says baby, it says Happy New Year, and that's it. If I type in Santa, it says Merry Christmas, and it goes into this section here. It says Merry Christmas. And if I put in something that we didn't check for, say my name, it goes to the default down here at the bottom, which says welcome. Now, some may wonder what this break statement is. The thing about a case statement, you notice there are no curly braces anywhere in this case statement. The way the case statement works is it just comes in here and runs everything inside the curly brace, and a break statement is something that you can use inside JavaScript to jump out of a block of code and say, I'm done with this block of code, or I'm done with this function. And inside of a break statement, it basically jumps out of the break statement. So for example, if I were to get rid of this break here, you would say, oh, if I typed in Santa and it runs this, I bet you if it keeps coming down, it will probably get Happy New Year too. So let's go ahead and try that. Santa, I hit case, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year came too. So those breaks are really important for keeping your case statements working properly. There may be scenarios where you want it to go through and do everything, but for the most part you'll probably be using the breaks and treat these similar to if statements. Some of you have probably noticed too that we could have done all of this and got this exact same behavior by doing an if equals Santa, else if equals baby, else if equals bunny, and then an else at the end doing this one. And you could have done an else if statement as well to make the same logic happen. Case is just another option for doing it and has some other functionality as well. The other one I wanted to show real quick is I just figured I'd go ahead and show you an if-else statement using strings. It's very similar to what we did before. You're just going to do your comparison to make sure that you have a string in here, which as we know is encapsulated within double quotes. If you had two variables that were strings, you could also say a variable 1 equals variable 2. Just be careful that you're not doing a string here and a number here. You're going to have problems if you try to do that. So this one is going to do something similar. I'm going to go ahead and type in Santa again, and we're going to push this button here, which pops up and says Merry Christmas from the if. And I did that just so you can tell that it was running this code and not something else. Baby, same thing, Happy New Year from the else if, and then the else is if I have anything else in there, you're going to get welcome from the else. So that gives you a little bit more information on conditionals and comparisons, and I hope that helps clarify some of the things that you've been reading in the text and some of the examples that you've done in W3 schools.